The Travel Transformation Podcast is proud to be partnered with Give the Goodness Global, an amazing global outreach project helping families in need all over Southeast Asia and beyond. Please check them out at Instagram.com/Give the Goodness Global today. And now on to the podcast episode.
Welcome to the Travel Transformation Podcast, the podcast that explores the life-changing potential of solo travel, intentional travel, and location-independent working. Whether you're an aspiring digital nomad or simply want to boost your confidence through epic travel experiences, I'm here to motivate and inspire you to go after all your wildest dreams. I'm Jessica Grace Coleman, author, travel transformation coach, founder of the Travel Transformation Company, and your host for the Travel Transformation Podcast. Travel changed my life. Now let's change yours. You ready? Let's go. Welcome to the Travel Transformation Podcast, the podcast where we talk all things travel and all things transformation. I'm your host, Jessica Grace Coleman, and this is going to be a quick solo episode. I am in the Basque Country at the moment. I'm recording this from my bedroom and we are right on the main road and right outside some traffic lights and construction work. So sorry about the random sound, but that is just how it goes sometimes when you're traveling and recording a podcast. So I'm in a coliving at the moment and we do professional events, and I've just come from a roundtable about ChatGPT and all things AI. And I find this subject fascinating, and I think it's really useful and it can really help a lot of people in their jobs, whatever they do, as digital nomads and things like that. I found a lot of people here either use it or want to use it. And I thought maybe it would be a good episode to do because I think it's, like I said, it's really fascinating. And I think a lot of people are either scared of it or they don't know how to use it. And they have no idea how they could use it to help their work, their life, travel. Like there's so many things you can use it with. So I'm just going to do like a quick roundup of what we talked about at the round table. I'm not going to go into massive depth about any of this because I'm by no means an expert, but I do enjoy playing around with ChatGPT and Bard by Google as well. I've been using. We talked about lots of interesting things. So let's get into it. So if you haven't used it before, ChatGPT is free. There is a free version, but you can pay about £20 a month for the pro version, which is like the next level, which is ChatGPT 4.0. I've only got the free version at the moment, but I might upgrade to the next one if I start using it more for my business. So I run a proofreading, editing and ghostwriting business, as well as the Travel Transformation Company. So I've got two really different kind of businesses, and I can use ChatGPT for both. So for the editing, I use it for things that I would have Googled before. I generally ask ChatGPT now. Now, it's not completely accurate all the time, and I think internet-wise, it only goes up to 2021 or something like that. But for things like grammar, punctuation, content, it's usually pretty good. And I usually ask Bard as well and then see the answers, and it often gives you different answers, and you sort of tweak them and take bits from each, and it's really useful. Say I'm editing a book, and the author has written something that's like a well-known phrase, like an idiom or a cliche or something, and they haven't quite used the right words. Sometimes I'll read it and be like, oh, they mean this. Sometimes I'll read it and I'll be like, I know what they mean. It's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't think of the actual phrase. So for things like that, I will go to ChatGPT, ask them, like, what do you think this phrase is? What is this person trying to say? And it realizes what it is and gives me the right answer, and that's really useful. And if you were to type the same thing in Google, you would get, websites related to all kinds of different things, and it wouldn't really answer your question in the same way. So that's really useful. If I'm not entirely 100% sure about like punctuation or grammar in a sentence, I will ask ChatGPT and Bard, see if they say the same thing. Maybe consult Uncle Google as well if I'm really confused. I also have like a online chat going with my editor friends, so I can ask them as well. So if ChatGPT, me, my editor friends, Bard, and Google all say the same thing, then I know it's a pretty good job. I use it for that. I use it for coming up with titles of things. Like someone had me edit a book and they had like a really long paragraph for the title. It was kind of like what they wanted the title to be, but they weren't really sure. So I put that into ChatGPT and Bard and came up with a load of different ones. And then I sort of said, I like this one. Can you give me more options like that? Or could you give me more options that have alliteration in? Or could you do another round of options, but include the word like wonder dog. It was about a dog, and it will give you all the options, and I can then give that to the client and say, I came up with these with the help of AI. If you like these, some of them, but you're not still quite sure about what you want, then use these as a basis and use ChatGPT yourself to come up with more title ideas. It's really useful. For content in general, it's amazing. Copywriting, content writing, and repurposing content. Say I write a blog post and I spend ages on this blog post, and then I want to turn it into an email, and I want to turn it into an Instagram caption and a Facebook caption and a LinkedIn email or a LinkedIn article that has to be more professional sounding. I can get ChatGPT to repurpose my words into different social media platforms and things like that. I can give it prompts to use certain tones, certain language, like the LinkedIn writing will be different to Facebook and Instagram, and obviously Twitter needs to be a lot shorter, so I can ask it to condense, and you can ask it to make things longer, to pad it out, to shorten it, all kinds of things. Really useful. Ask it to come up with blog post ideas, podcast episode ideas. I haven't had to do that yet because I have so many ideas myself, but that's a good idea for the future. If you want to write a blog post about something and you know what you want to say, but you have that thing where you're looking at a blank page and it takes me back to school when you had to write an essay and the blank page was the worst thing. You can ask ChatGPT to come up with some headlines for your blog post or whatever you're writing, maybe like a little bit of information under each headline. And it's just a starting point for you to get your brain going, and so you don't have that blank page, so you can then write out your blog post. There's a lot of things with ChatGPT, and we were talking about this at the round table, is that you don't just ask it a question like, can you write a blog post, and leave it. You have to dig deep, you have to dig down, drill down, and ask it more questions, ask it to change things. So I might write a blog post and it will say, it'll be like a formal blog post, and then I'll say, can you make it more casual and chatty? Or I could say, my audience are travelers who want to be inspired by this blog post. They want to be motivated to go out and travel. I want it to be friendly and casual and fun. Maybe add in some jokes, use contractions, make it like I'm talking to a friend. You can give it all these prompts and tweaks, and then you can say, I want it shorter, I want it longer. I want you to expand on this bit. I want to go into more depth about this bit. It's all about the questions and the prompts you give it to drill down and to get what you really want. Because when you ask it the first time, you'll get like a generic thing. And if everyone was to ask it that, they would all have the same content, right? And there's this whole thing about who owns the copyright, and it's all a very grey area of the law at the moment. But if you keep drilling down, asking it certain things, you will get a more unique response, unique to you and your voice. And obviously then you can edit it, you can tweak it, so it's not just copying and pasting it from ChatGPT, you're making it your own, which I think is the best way to do it.
Sorry for the interruption, but I just have to tell you about Give the Goodness Global, an incredible global outreach project run by American veteran Cody Grannon. Cody is passionate about helping those in need all over the world, whether it's raising money for a specific family he's met while traveling in Southeast Asia, giving food and supplies to people who would otherwise go without, or simply donating his time to help wherever help is needed. Please check out Instagram.com/GiveTheGoodnessGlobal to find out more, to donate money to their current cause, or to buy Give the Goodness Global merch, all the profits of which go straight back to helping those in need. Plus, 10% of all profits from Jessica Grace Coleman's book, Intentional Travel Transformation, are donated to this brilliant cause. You can find out more about this at traveltransformationcoach.com/books. So remember, be kind and give the goodness always. Thank you. And now back to the Travel Transformation Podcast.
So content is brilliant for. I talked on the Travel Coach Network on a guest blogging session the other week, and it was about pitching yourself to podcasts, putting yourself out there, and I suggested using ChatGPT as your interviewer. And this also works for job interviews. So you can give ChatGPT the prompt to act as something. So you can say, act as a podcast interviewer. I'm going on a podcast called the Travel Transformation Podcast. You can give it a summary of what the podcast is about. You can say what kind of tone and style the interviewer will have. And then you can ask it to have like a back and forth conversation with you. So it will ask you a question, you'll reply. It will say something about your response, and then it will ask you another question, and it will go deeper and deeper. And it's actually a really good way of sort of coming up with ideas for things to say and getting practice conversationally if you don't have a person to help you in real life. So that's really good for preparing for interviews and stuff like that. I think that's an amazing thing. Not just work related, but personal related. I like thinking of ChatGPT as like a modern journal, but a journal that talks back to you. So if you have a problem, or if you sometimes people just like word vomit on a page just to get everything out of their head, you can do that on ChatGPT. That actually works better for me because I'm a faster typer than I am a writer, like with pen. So I can just sit there, I can just like word vomit into ChatGPT, everything in my day, everything that's stressing me out, all the things I need to think about, like just get it out of your head and onto the page or ChatGPT box. And the good thing is ChatGPT can respond and give you like ideas or give you a different perspective. Even though it's not a person, sometimes it helps to have not a person respond to you and give you ideas. And, you know, if you've got like a problem that you really don't want to talk to anyone about just yet, and you don't want your friends or family to know maybe, or it's just something that you want to work on yourself, then this is a great way of doing it. And my brother actually made a really, really great video on this on his YouTube channel, Yachty Laboratories. I said that really weirdly, sorry. I can't remember what the video is called, but I will find it and put it in the show notes. And it's all about using ChatGPT as a kind of like counselor, friend for if you're going through stuff, sort of about improving your mental health by sort of talking it out with ChatGPT. And it's not a therapist, it says that, it's like a disclaimer. It won't take the place of therapy, but his video is really great, so I will link that to it. That's another way you can use it. If you have problems you want to discuss with someone, come up with some different ideas. So we talked all about that. We also talked about like the voice AI that you can upload audio of you speaking and it will emulate that. So I don't think it's like 100% accurate, but it still sounds really quite like the person. So say if I was recording a podcast episode like this and I'm in a co-living and then I suddenly think of something while I'm downstairs having dinner and I'm not in a position to like leave and record it, or maybe there's construction work going on outside and I can't record the extra bit I want to add in, I could just type that into this program and it would like spew it back out in my voice, which sounds terrifying, but could actually be really useful for this kind of thing. But we also talked about deep fakes, which are really quite terrifying. Have you seen the deep fake Tom Cruise on TikTok, on Instagram? Really weird. I think that has the potential to be used for evil in the future, definitely, but hopefully not. We also did some tests with like ChatGPT, the paid version and the free version, to see the differences. We asked it to write a poem about oranges, and the free version, it was quite good, but it's quite short. Obviously you could then ask it to make it longer and stuff, but we were just doing the initial ones. And the paid version actually came out with a really good poem, and rather worryingly we put it in a like AI content detector. I can't remember the name of the site, but you basically paste stuff in there and it tells you if it was written by a human or a computer, and it said it was written by a human. So that was a bit scary, because that conversation came about because we were talking about schools, plagiarism, and how they're, you know, if you're doing the whole drill down and tweaking it and everything, there's really no way to tell sometimes if it is AI or if it's the person writing it. So that was interesting. I mean, there's so many ways you can use it. We have family meals every week. We get into teams and we come up with a recipe, come up with an idea, and we got into our teams on Sunday night. And the first thing we did was go to ChatGPT and say, we're cooking a family meal for 12 people. Some are vegetarians, some don't eat red meat, some don't eat fish. None of us in the team particularly like cooking or are good at cooking, so we want something simple and easy. What would you suggest? And the first thing it suggested was taco night, and we were like, yes. And then we were like, tell us what ingredients we need for a taco night for 12 people, all the parameters and everything, including quantities. There we had our recipe list, and then we could just give that to the host who was ordering all the food. So simple. So if you're into cooking, or particularly if you're not into cooking, ask ChatGPT for recipes or for help. Say that you're bad at cooking, say that you want easy things, and it will only give you stuff that hopefully will be quick and easy. Like I say, just try it. I'll put the link to ChatGPT, the free one, in the show notes, so you don't have to pay if you just want to play around with it. Bard, Google Bard, also free. And yeah, I think it's just a really fun, useful tool that going forward I will use a lot. I've already been using Assembly AI for transcriptions for my podcasts, which I will be putting my show notes in depth on my website at some point. And that's really great. It will transcribe the whole thing. It will give you like a little summary. It will give you keywords for SEO that you can use. There's loads of stuff. And yeah, like it's just a case of playing around with it for a bit, looking up maybe some prompts to start you off with, and just remember to keep drilling down and giving it more instructions so you can get to a point where you have something that you can actually use as a basis for your content or for whatever you're doing. So yeah, if you use ChatGPT or Bard or any AI tool for your business, let me know. Oh, also it's really good for travel itineraries as well. My friend Irene in South Africa asked it, can you give me an itinerary? I'm going to Europe for 2 months. I don't want to spend a lot. I'm a digital nomad, so I need to work. I want, to be in nature, but I also want there to be stuff to do, like restaurants and bars. I want a place that isn't racist. I mean, that's an interesting one. That's not something you can just go and ask Google, really, is it? Places that welcome foreigners, that welcome digital nomads, things like that. And it will give you an itinerary. But yes, do remember that it sort of stops at the moment at the internet about 2021, I think. So like modern bars and restaurants might not be in its wheelhouse to sort of recommend, and things might have closed as well. As with anything with AI, it's a good starting point for anything you do, and I think it can be a real time saver if you embrace it rather than running away from it and thinking it's this big scary thing. So yeah, let me know if you use any of these tools, because I'm really interested in it as well. Email me at info@traveltransformationcoach.com or DM me at traveltransformationcoach on Instagram. Thank you, and until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Travel Transformation Podcast with me, Jessica Grace Coleman. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate and review, and spread the word if you have friends or family who also want to transform through travel. For a chance of winning one of my books in ebook form, please review this podcast on Apple Podcasts and send a screenshot or just your name to info@traveltransformationcoach.com or at traveltransformationcoach on Instagram. I'll be picking a new winner each month, and you can choose between any of my non-fiction titles, including Write Your Life, Write Your Year, and Intentional Travel Transformation. You can find out more about me at traveltransformationcoach.com, where you can also get your free travel transformation guide. And until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye.